The real Sarah Palin, larger than life and full of surprises. Sarah Palin's journey started in Wasilla, a small Alaskan town most people hadn't even heard of. As mayor, she wasn't just a politician, she was a neighbor, a problem solver, and a force of nature. But it was her bold decision to run for governor of Alaska that set the stage for something extraordinary. When she won, she became the youngest governor in Alaska's history and one of the few women to hold such a role. That alone would have been impressive, but Sarah wasn't content with being a footnote in history. Her leadership style was anything but ordinary. She shook up the establishment, stood her ground against powerful oil companies, and tackled corruption head-on, all while keeping her unmistakable sense of humor intact. But what really catapulted her into the national spotlight was a phone call in 2008. Imagine this: one moment, she's leading Alaska, and the next she's being asked to stand alongside Senator John McCain as his vice presidential running mate. Overnight, Sarah Palin went from governing a state of fewer than 1 million people to standing on one of the biggest stages in American politics. Here's where it gets interesting. Her bold personality and knack for commanding attention turned her into a household name. But while some admired her grit and authenticity, others were quick to criticize. And this clash of opinions only added to the larger-than-life persona she would become known for. By the end of this video, I'll share how one of her boldest decisions left even her closest allies stunned. It's a twist that shows just how unpredictable she can be. Stay tuned, because things are just getting started. Sarah Palin's role in the 2008 presidential campaign wasn't just political, it was electric. When John McCain introduced her as his running mate, the buzz was immediate. Her presence on the ticket was unprecedented: a young, charismatic governor from Alaska with a confident, no-nonsense style that instantly shook up the race. But here's what many people don't know. Behind the bright lights and roaring crowds, Palin's rise was anything but smooth. She faced relentless scrutiny, with every word, action, and decision dissected by the media. Yet, even in the most intense moments, she kept people talking. Whether it was her sharp sound bites or her unexpected quips, Sarah had a way of turning every spotlight into an opportunity to stand out. Remember her famous line about the difference between a hockey mom and a pit bull? Lipstick. That one word became a cultural phenomenon, sparking debates, jokes, and headlines across the nation. She may have been the VP candidate, but during that campaign, she often felt like the main act. And yet, behind the scenes, the story was more complex. There were moments of tension, surprising alliances, and even a few decisions that nearly derailed her career entirely. But here's the surprising twist: it was precisely this mix of triumphs and stumbles that made her unforgettable. By the end of this video, I'll reveal the campaign moment that Sarah herself has called the turning point of her career, a decision that had ripple effects far beyond politics. It's a moment that shows the kind of grit and unpredictability that only she could bring to the table. After the campaign ended, many thought Sarah Palin would quietly fade from the spotlight. But if there's one thing about her, it's this: she doesn't back down, and she never stays quiet for long. Instead of retreating, Palin transformed herself into a cultural phenomenon. She became a best-selling author, sharing her thoughts and experiences in a way that captivated her audience. Her book tours weren't just signings, they were events, drawing massive crowds and reknitting her connection with everyday Americans. But it didn't stop there. Palin ventured into television, where she brought her larger-than-life personality to millions of viewers. From reality shows showcasing her Alaskan lifestyle to high-profile guest appearances, she made sure people kept talking. And she wasn't just in it for the fame, she was using her platform to speak her mind and champion the causes she cared about most. Here's where it gets fascinating. Despite stepping away from public office, Palin's influence didn't wane. She became a lightning rod for controversy, a voice that could rally crowds or spark debates with just a single statement. Love her or not, she knew how to stay relevant in a world that moves on from headlines in a heartbeat. By the end of this video, I'll share the moment that cemented her legacy not as a politician, but as a force of personality. It's a moment that captures exactly why Sarah Palin remains unforgettable. Now, let's step away from the headlines and look at some of the unexpected details about Sarah Palin's life, the kind of facts that even her most loyal followers might not know. First, did you know she was a beauty pageant competitor before stepping into politics? That's right, Sarah Palin once won the title of Miss Wasilla and even competed in the Miss Alaska pageant. It wasn't just about looks, though she impressed judges with her confidence and quick wit, traits that would later define her political career. And here's another twist: while most people know her as a politician, Palin is also an accomplished outdoorswoman. From hunting moose to fishing in Alaska's rugged waters, she's lived the kind of life that most can only imagine. In fact, her ability to navigate the challenges of Alaska's wilderness shaped the fearless and determined person she would become. But perhaps the most surprising of all, Palin once had aspirations of becoming a sports broadcaster. Her love for sports and her talent for speaking almost took her down a completely different path, one where she'd be calling the plays instead of making them. These fun facts show a side of Sarah Palin that's rarely discussed, a mix of grit, ambition, and unexpected charm. And if you think that's surprising, wait until you hear about the decision she made during her time as governor that left everyone stunned. It's a moment that still has people talking today, and I'll reveal it before the video ends. As governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin wasn't one to play it safe. She made decisions that often left her critics speechless and her supporters rallying behind her. But there's one decision in particular that stands out, a move so unexpected that it redefined how people saw her. In 2009, Palin did the unthinkable. She resigned as governor with more than a year left in her term. To her opponents, it was political suicide. They accused her of abandoning her post, and pundits speculated it was the end of her career. But Palin had her reasons. She said the constant ethics complaints against her, many of which were dismissed, were costing the state millions and hindering its progress. Instead of staying in a role she felt had become a distraction, she chose to step down and take her message directly to the people. It was a decision that revealed her boldness, but also her unpredictability. Some saw it as a cop-out, while others saw it as a power move, proof that she wasn't afraid to break the rules and rewrite her own story. Here's the twist: that resignation didn't diminish her influence. In fact, it amplified it. Palin used her newfound freedom to take on national issues, connect with supporters through her books and TV appearances, and build a platform that extended far beyond Alaska. It was a gamble, but it worked. And yet, the real impact of this decision isn't just what she gained, it's what she risked. It's a move that still sparks debate today, leaving people wondering, was it a calculated step towards something greater, or a moment of reckless abandon? One thing's for sure, it cemented her reputation as someone who plays by her own rules. So what's the final takeaway from Sarah Palin's journey? It's clear she's not just a politician or a celebrity, she's a phenomenon. Her rise to fame, her unfiltered personality, and her willingness to make bold, often controversial decisions have kept her relevant for decades. Love her or hate her, Palin has always stayed true to herself, refusing to be anyone other than who she is. That's why she's left such a lasting impact. Whether as a small-town mayor or a reality TV star, she's managed to stay in the public eye and continue challenging the norms of what it means to be a woman in politics and entertainment. Here's the thing, we may never agree on everything about Sarah Palin, but there's one thing everyone can agree on: her story is anything but ordinary. And that's exactly what makes her larger than life. Before you go, I want you to think about something. Sarah Palin's career may be full of twists and surprises, but what about yours? Are you playing it safe? Or are you ready to take bold steps and create your own unforgettable story? Drop a comment below with your thoughts. What part of Sarah Palin's journey surprised you the most? Let's get the conversation started. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most fascinating figures of our time, hit that thumbs up because there's more to come.